How's it going, guys? I kind of have something very important I want to talk about. There's a new season of Jujutsu Kaisen now, and it's caused a lot of controversies, between the Japanese getting mad that we didn't appreciate episode 3 and over favored episode 4 because episode 3 gave all the lore and episode 4 was all action and aura. That already started the cultural differences in respects to the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen. But now, with the latest episodes, we have gotten a new character, Kirara. Kirura. I don't know how to pronounce it. Um, but they are not confirmed as trans. They are not confirmed as trans. In the show, in the original source material, they are referred to as a guy. The author, Gigi, has intentionally avoided using female pronouns for the character in interviews. The character even has a male VA. Everything about the character says that they are most likely, not confirmed, but most likely, a femboy or otokonoko. Um, I don't know how to pronounce that properly. I'm not Japanese. I'm not fluent in their language, but you know, big difference in Japanese and Western cultures is Western cultures sees a boy dressed like a girl who acts like a girl, and the main assumption is that they are trans. Because culturally, over here, that is what is normal. So we call them girls. No problem with that. I have no problem with trans people. There are some great trans anime characters. My favorite being Kiku from One Piece, the Wano arc. Great character, heart of a woman. But in Japan, Japanese culture, they don't hold the importance of gender for character identities. Therefore, gender nonconforming characters such as femboys no Tokonokos are much, much more prevalent. So having a male who looks and acts like a female, unless explicitly stated as trans, is usually not trans. And that is just Japanese culture. As you see here, a Japanese person who is excited about two new, they use the term trap, but femboys at this level showing up this season. One of them being the new character from Jujutsu Kaisen. This is just one example, but many Japanese people online have been calling him, an otokonoko or a femboy, which has led to many Westerners getting super pissed off and calling Japanese people transphobic. As example, below the very same post, as you can see, it's the same post. She's not a femboy, dude. She's a trans woman, and that's transphobia. She is not confirmed a trans woman. She is not a trans woman. Not sure the character on the right is, but Kirara isn't a trap boy. She's a trans girl. Hope this helps. She is not. It is not confirmed. But yeah, it's most people, especially the Japanese, are calling them a femboy. But due to all the people calling them transphobic for calling this character a femboy, has led me to make my own post. I have long since been against localization because I think there are many cultural nuances in Japan that is lost by these localizations, whether it's intentional or not. Calling femboys trans is one of those things. Any translator will immediately change femboys or otokonokos into trans, which completely ignores the cultural nuances of Japanese culture. So I made this post explaining this is why I'm against localization. Westerners are constantly spouting about how characters are trans and going as far as harassing Japanese people for being transphobic because Westerners don't have the same cultural nuances as Japan. Many of the Japanese people are calling them an otokonoko or a cross-dressing male. The character is not trans. I am not against trans people, but this character is a male. From what the Japanese are saying, the character is similar to Ruka from Steins Gate. Ruka in Steins Gate is a self-defined male, has no problem with their gender, but they had a deep love for Okabe. Unfortunately, Okabe was a straight man, so in order to be more attractive to him, Ruka became more feminine and even went as far as using their time machine to make themselves be born naturally a female. All of that led to Okabe telling them that, you don't need to be a female for me, I love you the way you are. And Ruka reverts the change to female and accepts being a male. Even later on in Zero, becoming a hot, badass twink. From what I hear, this character in Jujutsu Kaisen is similar. They are not trans, they are a femboy. And this post has majorly popped off. As you can see, it's got over 1 million views. It's got over 8,800 likes. And yeah, everyone I've been arguing with has just had the same points of, well, the guy that they're dating says they wouldn't date a guy. But with that reasoning, you are ignoring the nuances of the Japanese identities. Many straight Japanese guys say they are into otokonokos because they are cute. They do not care that it is a boy. It is not manly, therefore, to them, in their view, it is not a boy. It is not a man. It is still a boy, but it is not a man. Therefore, a straight guy is okay and attracted to them. There are nuances for such things because the Japanese go off appearance rather than gender identity. It's gender presentation over identity. They still present as male, but because they look and act female, they are viewed differently from males. They still identify as male, but they are viewed differently. And those are the kind of nuances that the Japanese culture has. Now, this is just a big thing. I did make another post where I said, I think Jujutsu Kaisen's most recent season has been a huge show of difference for Japanese culture and Western views. First controversy being the difference in episode rating between episode 3 and 4, showing Japanese viewers respect lore and story, while Western viewers only care about action and aura. Second controversy being the Otokonoko character that is referred to as male within the show has a male voice actor and is being called Otokonoko by the Japanese audience. There is much more cultural nuances that the West ignores, whether intentionally or out of ignorance. And the localizations only push that further. Now, I do want to say, I have been getting lots of support and praise from Japanese users. I really wish you'd stop asserting speculation as if they're upset that people keep forcing this. I really wish you'd stop asserting speculation as if it were established fact. As this person says, the character is an otokonoko. If you can't understand that and keep arguing about it, you don't have the right to talk about anime. A lot of Westerners complain that treating male characters with cute appearances as male is transphobia. It's getting really annoying, honestly. See, the Japanese are agreeing with me and getting annoyed by our force of Western culture. We need to stop forcing Western culture onto other cultures. Not every culture needs to be homogenous. We do not need a globalization of cultures. These differences in cultures is what makes the world interesting. They have a different culture, which leads them to a different view of gender. Just because it is not the same as ours does not mean it's lesser. They are just different views. Even though it's said that it's fine to be a man while cross-dressing, people in the West just can't understand that. The truth is, it was only abolished around the Meiji era, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, I'm sorry, in imitation of the West, but Japan had a culture of male homosexuality that regarded loving men as men to be elegant. So it's ingrained in their cultural history, too. Otokonoko, cute, love it. That's the end. If something rubs you the wrong way, you shouldn't watch it. Don't make a fuss. And that's another one of my points. If you can't respect Japanese culture, you don't deserve to enjoy their media. It's just bias, but I feel like the West doesn't get the diversity of sexuality in the East on a gut level. This guy says, be proud, you are right, confirming that I am correct. Ruka, translation, example, and the perfect separation between the guys and the trap characters are just too amazing, incredible. See, I'm getting praise and agreement from the Japanese community. The Western audience is so against this, but if they're so against this, then maybe they should just stop consuming Japanese media because the Japanese are agreeing with me. This is their culture. We need to stop changing their culture. I hope more posts like this would get more traction. These are all translated from Japanese. I've even clicked on most of them, and they are Japanese users. Wait, so the Western fandoms understood the difference between haven't the Western fandoms understood the difference between Otokonoko and transgender yet? No, because in the West, boy who looks and acts like girl must be girl. This is a bit too well this person is a bit too well versed in Japanese otaku culture in a respectful and complimentary way. I appreciate the compliments. More people agreeing. That's true for Kabuki Onagata too, and for male/female singers who sing about the heart of a woman/man from a woman/man's perspective for performances where one's gender and expression don't ally. Japan had that kind of thing since way back, and since the grammar doesn't even have masculine or feminine nouns in this country, there's no need to explicitly state this person is a man or a woman, you know. This person just sending smiles. Overseas anime fans should also know that gender consists of 4 elements: biological sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, and gender expression. There can exist people whose gender identity is male, but whose gender expression, the social and cultural aspect of gender, such as clothing and mannerisms, feels more fitting as female. So essentially, they are femboys. They act and look and have the mannerisms of a female, but they still identify as male. You do not have to be trans to be feminine. Agree, anime is too fast-paced for foreigners to begin with. I mean, they're making a fuss about the race or skin colors of anime characters. Skin color, eye color, hair color, it's all just design. It has nothing to do with race. Anime characters are Westerners? What an idiot. If I had to say, Japanese anime characters are all Japanese. If you can only watch anime trapped in that kind of framework, then don't watch it, that's what I say. Japanese anime is Japanese. It is based around mostly Japanese culture. There are some exceptions, like some high fantasy and medieval animes that are built around medieval European or Viking cultures, but the vast majority of anime is around Japanese culture. We need to stop imposing American culture onto Japanese media. This person, Twitter didn't translate it, so I had to Google translate it. In Japan since ancient times, even before the modernization period and during the era of classical works, there has been a genre of characters who cross-dress, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. Seems that in Japan, there's a natural understanding that just because someone cross-dresses doesn't necessarily mean they are transgender. Conversely, I wonder if the situation is different in the West. It is different. You literally have it's not all trans people. I do love and accept trans people. It's just a different point of view. But there are hostile groups of trans people who will look at femboys and have this whole idea that all femboys are just eggs waiting to hatch. No, not everybody wants to be trans. A lot of people just like being femboys. It is a real thing. It is gender nonconformity. Gender nonconformity is the avoidance of gender stereotypes, the rejection of gender stereotypes. Let people be however they want to be, regardless of gender stereotypes. Boys can be girly, girls can be boyish. Who cares? Femboys are part of gender nonconformity. So by forcing a femboy to become trans, you are reinforcing gender stereotypes, thus erasing the gender nonconformity and femboys, completely against what their whole thing is. This person had this to say, exactly the same as all black characters, so Japanese is racist. Oto Kanoko dressed as woman, boyish, Futanari, all transgender characters, and Japan is transphobic. Oscar, Shinken, Maria, Lily, everyone is trans, right? This person had a thing for it. See, look, they have all of these different terms. You have cross-dressing. You have otokonokos. Cross-dressing are just boys who act like boys, but cross-dress. Otokonokos are boys who dress like... Cross-dressing boys who dress like girls but still act like boys. Otokonokos are boys who dress like girls and act like girls, but they're still boys. I'm not exactly too knowledgeable about New Half and Okama. And then there's genderbender, boys who are changed into female forms completely. Like, not trans, they're completely changed. Like, these are the nuances that many of the Westerners just straight up ignore, and the Japanese have had things for this forever. Like, this post has over 1 million views, 1.4 million views, 9,000 likes and counting. Many people are reposting this constantly. My notifications have been blowing up nonstop for the past 5, 6 hours now, 7 hours now, nonstop. Japanese people and normal people liking my post. And it's not just English Westerners either. There's been a lot of Spanish ones too. I don't know where from. But they're all so fixated on this character who isn't confirmed trans to be trans, when the more likely outcome based on the culture surrounding what the medium is that they are not trans, they are a femboy, an otokonoko. But these people are so fixated on everyone having to be trans to get their representation, you are actually starting to aggravate and you are attacking the Japanese people. It is their culture that you are imposing yourself on. And this is why I am becoming increasingly against localization, because I want to experience their media with their cultural nuances. I don't want all of that erased for our westernization. The reason I watch anime is because I want to see more of another culture. I want to escape my own culture for a bit and see other cultures. I enjoy other cultures. Japanese culture, Roman culture, I enjoy all of it. So it is getting very annoying that we are increasingly trying to globalize the world culture, trying to enforce our culture on everything else. Because the more we encroach on other cultures, the more we erase them, and the more boring and bland the whole world becomes. Too many people over here in the West do not have the capability of seeing other worldviews, and it is so much more apparent. It becomes increasingly apparent every time something like this happens. We need to open our minds a bit, think critically, and realize just because another culture has a different view than we do doesn't mean it's any lesser or it's wrong. It is just a different view. And if we were to look at other views, it would expand our own and make us better people. So instead of attacking Japanese people for calling their characters a femboy just because you think they're trans, maybe we should just let the Japanese be Japanese. Anyway, this has been a whole shit show. Just please, y'all, stop being xenophobic to the Japanese people. Realize that just because they have a different view doesn't mean it's lesser or wrong. They do not degrade trans people by having femboy characters. That is just their own view of gender identity. To them, gender is not integral to identity, it is just a piece of it. Femboys do exist. GNC is a real movement. Everything is not as black and white as they're trans or they're not. Stop being so close-minded. Stop being so ignorant. There is more out there than just our culture. And a little understanding will go a long way. But if we keep going at this rate, between the blackwashing, whitewashing fights against Japanese artists, and now this, please just leave the Japanese alone. They are not hurting anyone. It is their culture. They are not erasing or looking down on anyone else. And embrace knowledge. Let them share their culture with us instead of trying to force our culture on them. I don't know, this has been a big rant from me. It just really pissed me off to see how many people were being xenophobic to the Japanese people, calling them transphobic just because you don't understand the nuances of their culture. Yeah. I guess that'll be all for now. See you guys.